Hello again, sick, twisted weather freaks, and welcome to a special edition of This Week in Weather on this Wednesday evening. It's 11 p.m. on January 28th. Let's talk about this week in weather. And before I forget, let me remind you that I am the captain of chaos, the colonel of confusion, your commander of catastrophe. This is meteorologist DT from Weather Risk in Central Virginia talking about this weekend storm. So let's get right to it and see what the heck's going on here. So we're going to start out by taking a look at the 18Z European. Actually, let's go to the 18Z GFS because I think that's a bigger waste of time and a bigger piece of shit. So let's go. Let me switch this to here over to back to here. Nope, I guess it's not doing it for some reason. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's see. Here we go. 18Z, and then we want to take a look at here. So look at the 6-hour time frame. We'll go Eastern U.S. And you can see what it's doing here. The storm develops very nicely, starting late Friday night, pre-dawn hours of Saturday, really, and then it gets cranking. Okay, the lows there well off the coast, and then what happens is it gets pulled towards Hatteras. You see that? But what the difference is that the cold air, it overdoes the cold air here. And you see much less snow in Central Virginia, Southern Virginia up here, and the low swings out, and that they actually ends up having no snow at all in Southeast Massachusetts. This was the 12. This was the 18Z GFS, and it's bullshit for a lot of different reasons. First, if we take a look at recent temperatures, I want to show you something here. This was the morning low temperatures. Let's see here. For this was a Wednesday morning. Let's see if I can do this. It's not. Why is it not? There we go. Slow system, I guess. You can see the temperatures from Wednesday morning here. And it wasn't as cold as the models are showing now. In the Ohio Valley, we had sub-zero readings because they had over a foot of snow here and up in New England as well. But a lot of places, the models a couple of days ago were showing sub-zero readings as close as Charlottesville and D.C. and just outside into Philly and New York. And we're not seeing that, single digits. And if you look at the max temperatures today, this afternoon in Atlanta, it got up to like a 45 degrees, and the models were saying around 35 degrees. So there is the cold air. I don't think is quite as massive as it has been, and I think that's having an impact here. And the GFS always overdoes the cold air. So we have that. And the thing is, if you look at the GFS ensemble, you'll see how vastly different it is. Let's go to here, and we'll take a look. See here, and the GFS, you can see. As it develops up again, 0Z1, I don't want to see that piece of garbage. Here's the 18Z, and you can see it developing very nicely off the coast. And now it has heavy snow, moderate snow into Richmond and Hampton Roads, and then central and eastern North Carolina. This is at 10 o'clock on Saturday, and the lows off. And now you can see the monster snow plume, east of Richmond and Hampton Roads, North Outer Banks, probably just east of Raleigh, Fayetteville, Greensboro getting blasted with snow, Elizabeth City, Hampton Roads, southeast Delmarva, lower Virginia Eastern Shore, and then you've got moderate snow. It gets up into southeast Massachusetts, and that makes sense. So if you look at the QPF here, let's go to the Mid-Atlantic, you can see the difference. Let's look at the overall precipitation here. The total precip from, this is the 18Z GFS, and you can see 0.5 in Richmond, let's see here, yes, and the 0.62 south of Richmond. This makes sense. 1 inch liquid total, and 2 inches, 1.5 in Outer Banks. This is all snow. This is over a foot of snow here. And then you can see 3/4 of an inch south side along the Richmond, along the Virginia-North Carolina border, out towards Greensboro and down towards the South Carolina border. This is all 8, 10, 12 inches of snow, if this is correct. On the 18Z GFS ensemble. So now that's quite a bit wetter than the operational run. If we go back to this garbage and we go back to the 18Z, you'll see, look how flat it is. Nothing across the North Carolina border here. See that? It's all made some monster snowstorm here. And if you look at the snow maps from the 18Z, it's got, where's the total snowfall? Huge amounts of snow in North Carolina, 24 inches. I don't know what's wrong with the GFS snow algorithms. I don't think it'll be that much. Now, if there is going to be places going to get over 12 inches, it's going to be the North Carolina Outer Banks or the interior. Maybe the Outer Banks might see some rain mixed in, but Elizabeth City and Goldsboro and Fayetteville should get blasted with 20 inches of snow if this is right on the QPF. Okay, and then you can see it drops off very sharply north of the Virginia-North Carolina border. This is bullshit. This is not true. And the proof of that is that the 18Z, if we go again to the 18Z GFS ensemble, we can see here, go back to this again. We can see, oops, the QPF That's not what I want to do. There we go. You can see, here we go. There it is, totally different. Very, very different. And if we look at the snow map, well, that's not a surprise here. The snow map is going to match that quite nicely. And now look, boom. Okay, you got significant snow into Richmond, several inches into Roanoke, Lynchburg, even a couple inches up to D.C. And then you can see the big snows, 1 inch or greater, maybe a foot of snow applied in Hampton Roads here with greater than 10-to-1 snow ratio. So this is a big deal. This is a big deal. Now, the other thing I want to point out here on the 18Z is the surface wind, and this is going to surprise you. All right, that's miles per hour. That's not what I want to do. This is, of course, go back to here. Okay, there's a 50-mile, 60-mile winds here. This is impressive wind here. Okay, and this is, if you're getting this much snow with this amount of wind, those are blizzard conditions, folks. This is blizzard conditions, eastern Richmond, Hampton Roads, the Chesapeake Bay, southern Delmarva, eastern North Carolina, 35 plus miles per hour gusts. And that can, and when you go, it doesn't quite reach the eastern southeast Massachusetts, but it's close. Now, was the 18Z GFS. I'm not a big fan of the GFSs, never liked it, but we are Wednesday. This storm starts on Saturday afternoon. We're almost within 72 hours. So the GFSs are beginning to catch on to something, especially the ensembles, which are better at this range than the operational one. Now let's take a look at the 18Z European and see what that's doing. Look at the winds here. Holy crap. Hurricane force winds at Outer Banks, North Carolina with snow. Wow. You don't see that every day. You don't see that every day, boys and girls. Okay, Richmond, 40-mile-an-hour winds, Outer Banks, 50, 60-mile-an-hour winds into Hampton Roads. If this is the Europeans, right, they're going to issue blizzard warnings. I'm sorry, but they are. They just are. Yes. I don't know what to tell you. That's what the data is showing here. And then if we look at the the snow maps here, the precipitation amounts for this event, this takes us almost, you can see much more. This is very much like the GFS ensemble, 0.45. The ensemble had 0.65 in Richmond. And you can see also decent amount of snow. This is nice snow, has several inches in interior southeast Virginia. Williamsburg, Franklin, Suffolk, Emporia, and then you've got North Carolina getting around 3/4 of an inch every area, and then the eastern Outer Banks, North Carolina getting 1 to 2 inches. And again, if the Outer Banks is all snow, that's 1 to 2 feet of snow with 60-mile-an-hour winds. This is a blizzard. If this is right, I don't want to go hog wild and crazy here, but that's what the data is showing. You can't go against the data here. And that's the operational. Look at southeast Massachusetts, south and east of Boston, Taunton, Plymouth, Martha's Vineyard, Buzzards Bay, far east Long Island. These are big precipitation amounts, and that's all snow. That's all snow. So again, other point here, look at the cutoff. D.C., nothing. Baltimore, nothing. Philly, nothing. New York City, almost nothing. The very, very sharp cutoff in the Arctic air here. Very sharp cutoff. Charlottesville, 0.7. Richmond, 0.43. See the difference? Significant. Okay. So that's pretty impressive. Now let's look at the European ensemble, see what it's doing. But let me show you the map, because I don't think I went to the map here. So let's take a look at what it's doing. Switch over to the eastern. There you go. So this is the 18C. There it develops very nicely. Okay. And then this thing just bombs out. The upper low catches it. You can see that clearly. The upper low is catching it. We can just see it briefly here. Okay. Look at this thing. It catches it. Now, it's down in Georgia, okay? Again, to get the big storm for everybody in New England, Mid-Atlantic, you need the 500 low to be in North Carolina, not Georgia, okay? It swings too far out. Look at the movement here. Look how far south it swings and then comes over and goes out to sea. See that? If this upper low was in North Carolina and it did this, everybody would get blasted with a blizzard. It's not. Now, could that change? It might change a little bit, but I don't think it's going to change that much. All right, so that's what it's doing. And if we look at the surface map, okay, this is the 18Z GFS, European, sorry. And there's the low. And now this is all moderate to heavy snow. Hampton Roads, Saturday afternoon, evening, okay, Raleigh, all the way into Columbia, South Carolina. Are you kidding me? Greensburg, the Northwest North Carolina. I can't think of the name offhand of the GSP, National Weather Service office. I can't remember the name. Oh my God, that's just embarrassing. I've been up too long doing this storm. Anyway, and then you can see it rotating off the coast here. Look at that, 971. Now, again, this is early Sunday morning. This is a blizzard in Hampton Roads, if this is right, and Elizabeth City, and Goldsboro, and Fayetteville. This is a blizzard. Wallops Island, maybe south and east of Salisbury. And then you can see it rolling up, and just look at it in southeast Massachusetts, gets crushed. And look at the winds. I'll show you the surface winds here. Oops, that's the winds. There you go, max wind gusts. And we swing in here, we can see to the mid-Atlantic. Go back and show you. Look at these winds. Oh my God. Yes, folks, 75 miles per hour at at Kildare Hills on the model. 80 miles per hour at Cape Hatteras. This is snow as a blizzard. I don't know how to tell you. Okay, you don't see this a lot, but it does happen. And again, people keep saying this is a Miller B. That's wrong. I know the TV meteorologists mean well out there. This is not a Miller B. This is a Miller C, a storm which goes up and off of Hatteras and out to sea. That's what this is. It is not a Miller B, East Coast winter storm type. It is a Miller C. Most TV meteorologists don't know this. They just think there's two types. There's not, but there's a third type. Anyway, okay. And then you can see the hurricane, the really strong winds also get up in southeast Massachusetts as well. In terms of the liquid QPF, again, we the precipitation here. We saw that. Now let's look at the ensemble. Almost the same thing. Actually, again, just like the GFS ensemble was wetter than the operational run, the European ensemble is wetter than the operational run. So Richmond is now up to 0.54. All right, the pre-5.5. Okay, Raleigh Roanoke almost a half inch, Lynchburg a half inch. Okay, you actually get a quarter of an inch south of D.C. Charlottesville 0.25, which is 3, 4, 5 inches of snow. And then Hampton Roads, look at that, 1 to 2 inches, and Virginia Beach, Norfolk, the Outer Banks, all the way down to Hatteras. If that's all snow, and it will be, that's well over 12 inches of snow. Well over 12 inches of snow. Raleigh is going to get, that's 3/4 of an inch. That's going to be 10 inches of snow. Richmond, south side, could be 7 or 8. South side, 4 inches, north and west. And then it drops off. Again, look at the very sharp drop off here. Look how sharp the drop off is. This is all Arctic air, and the moisture is out here. There's only so far inland the moisture can penetrate into the Arctic air with the low doing this. And let's take a look at that surface map and see what it's doing here. On the map, let's switch it here. Okay, 18Z European. There it is, doing very nicely. Okay, 990 as an ensemble mean, which is pretty damn impressive, 985. Look how close to Hatteras it gets to. All right, and you can see the shield. Pretty impressive, right along the coast. Very nice. Very impressive system. Now, the other thing you want to take a look at is the probability. So let's do that. Snow probabilities in winter, greater than 6 inches. And if we switch to mid-Atlantic again, 80% chance that Hampton Roads are greater than 6 inches. And then the light orange tan color is 60-70% here. Richmond, 50% south side, 30% north side, same thing in Roanoke and Lynchburg. Okay, and if you look at the greater than 12 inches, yes, there is a 50% chance of seeing 12 inches of snow in Virginia Beach and Norfolk, 40% in Norfolk. Yeah, and then of course southeast Massachusetts as well. So, looks pretty darn impressive. Now let's take a look at the actual snow maps and see what it's showing. All right, in terms of the snow amounts here, first we'll go back to the European, operational European, the snow maps. Let's change this to the winter in terms of the total snow maps here. This is the European. 8 inches in Richmond, south side. That's exactly what I thought. 5 inches north side. Yeah. Again, sharp. Look at that. Nothing DC. We talked about that before. Hampton Roads. A foot of snow in Hampton Roads. Greater than that in East North Carolina. Much of western and central North Carolina. 10, 12 inches of snow or higher. Roanoke 6 inches. Lynchburg 6 inches. Charlottesville 1.5. Huge drop. Huge cutoff here. Salisbury, Maryland, almost 8 inches. All right. Georgetown, Delaware 6.5, Baltimore 0, Philly 1.3. Amazing. Okay. And let's take a look at the ensemble and see what it's showing here. The ensemble, go back to this, the ensemble mean for the snow. And I think this is very reasonable. And you adjust for the ratio. That's a foot of snow in Hampton Roads. And the lower Virginia Eastern Shore, up towards Ocean City, Maryland, and into Elizabeth City, or just east of the Currituck, at Albemarle Sound. That's what that is. I think this is a great map. This is a fine map. I don't have any problem showing that at all. Now, if I were to change this and show you my first guess map, which I'm doing right here, and you can see it in more detail. Let me see if I can blow this up a little more. There you go. And this is the first guess map. So I'm going to post the image on the Facebook page and on the Blue Sky page so you can see it there. But this is the map. That's what I look, the first guess map. Okay. Now remember, there's going to be two more maps after this, the first call and the last call. So this is just an initial impression of what I think. I have the 8-inch line between just close to Greensboro, maybe just to the west of it, and south side of Richmond, just south of Richmond. And then you can see up Georgetown in Delaware, maybe along the New Jersey, Atlantic City coast, east of Long Island, and then up towards Boston. And the 12 inches you can see. And then I do have 2 inches up towards, because I'm doing the ensemble, up towards D.C. and Philly and New York. Now that may be too aggressive. I may drop that make a sharp cutoff, but that's what I'm going with for the time being. All right. And then if I change this here, you can see this is just enlargement for my area that I focus on mostly. What I think is going to happen. And the start times, well, there's the start times. All right. 1 a.m. Saturday is the blue over here. And then you have the 7 a.m. Saturday is the orange. It's spreading towards Richmond and Norfolk. You can see that. 1 p.m. Saturday, it's now east of those areas and getting close to D.C. 7 p.m. Saturday, and then 1 a.m. Sunday. All right. So that's what I have for those. Okay. So overview. Just to give you an idea, the 18Z model showed good agreement, especially 18Z ensembles. Wednesday evening is now 72 hours from the storm. It's really kicking in by Saturday afternoon. So it makes sense that the global models are moving into better agreement as they should be. In particular, 18Z GFS and the European ensembles match pretty good with the snow amounts and the actual liquid QPF or precipitation. Of course, we have to adjust for the higher snow ratios in some areas. So those maps are based on 10-to-1 snow ratios. It could be higher in many areas. If the system bombs out like the models are showing, I think they're going to issue blizzard warnings. The National Weather Service will, for the Hampton Roads and Northeast North Carolina and the Outer Banks. That's not my call. That's the National Weather Service. I just think there's a really good chance they could do that. So watch out for that, okay? There's quite a bit of model data that suggests winds of 70 miles per hour or greater. Cape Hatteras, the North Carolina Outer Banks, the lower portion of Chesapeake Bay, the open waters of Hampton Roads. All the data that I see says the big cities of I-95 are going to miss out on the big snows from D.C. to New York. Not no snow, big snows. There's a difference. It's possible they could see a few inches, but much will depend on how much moisture is able to penetrate into the Arctic air on the northwest side of a low, which is going to turn out to sea when it reaches Hatteras. That's not a good snow track for those guys at all. It is still possible the low could come a little further north, then turn to the east-northeast out to sea. If that happens, then the big cities from D.C. up to New York City, NYC, would have a much better chance of seeing several inches of snow. And if that happened, it would put the 12-inch snow line into the Richmond metro area and eastern interior Virginia, and it would increase the chances of well over 12 inches in Raleigh and eastern North Carolina and Hampton Roads. All right, that's my forecast and presentation outlook here for the storm. This is meteorologist DT from Weather Risk. I will see you over on the Facebook page, over on the Blue Sky page, and on the website.